What's up, everybody? Matt Modi here with Jedi Modi Sports Network, and in this video, I have 4 picks for NFL Week 5 for Sunday for you guys to lock in. I'm going to be bringing something back that I did when I was first getting into the sports content world like 3 years ago. It's going to be 4 picks. The first one is going to be a favorite. What that means, a team that's favored either to win straight up or to cover the spread. This is a 1.5 unit play. I used to call it a lock. Quickly learned there's no such thing as a lock in this business, so it's the favorite. Then I'm going to give out one underdog. The rules with that is it has to be a team that is plus money to win straight up, so no underdog covering the spread. We're talking underdog that wins straight up. Then I'm going to give out one player prop and one game prop. Those are pretty self-explanatory. So it ends up being 4 picks total. This is the first week of me doing this, so I do not have any stats to give you, but I do have stats from previous NFL picks, and I wish I didn't have to do this, but you do. Got to have some accountability. It's been brutal. I'm recording this on Friday morning. Thursday night football last night, Commanders, Bears. I had another 0-3 day, just not getting my reads right for the NFL. It's been brutal. I apologize. Anybody who has been following along with me. I also appreciate the kind words that I've gotten. It seems like people understand that this nature of the business when it happens in sports betting and that things are going to turn around. It's frustrating when you're in the middle of it, but I am confident that we're going to turn things around. If you're new to my channel and you're still listening even after seeing my stats, would appreciate it if you could like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then comment. Let me know if you're riding. Let me know what picks you have for this NFL week. And let's chat plays. So play number 1, the favorite, the lock, quote unquote, that we're going with is the Lions minus 9.5. This is at minus 120 odds at Sport Trade if you're in Colorado or New Jersey. If you're not in one of those 2 states, you can get them at minus 10 at minus 110 odds pretty much everywhere else. To start off, I got to take an L on the Lions this year. I did not think that they were going to be legit. I thought they were going to be disappointing. I was incorrect. The Lions are legit. They're 3-1 on the year with a victory over the Chiefs on opening night. Granted, the Chiefs were missing Kelsey and Chris Jones, had some drops, but still, the Lions beat them. And then they had 2 wins, the Lions over the Falcons and the Packers, both of them by double digits, covered the spread in both of those games. Their only loss coming against Seattle, who we all know is a good team as well, so not a horrible loss. And just looking at advanced stats, looking at DVOA, has the Lions as the 3rd best team in the entire NFL. They have the 4th best offense and the 5th best defense. Them and the Bills are the only 2 teams that are top 5 in both offense and defense. A very good, very well-rounded team. They're also at home in this game, which I like. We all know the dramatic home-road splits for Jared Goff, whether he's at home versus on the road since he's been with the Lions. Granted, last week he played great against the Packers, and that was on the road, so it's not as though we can never play well on the road, but at home he plays dramatically better. Looking at the other side of the ball, the Panthers, who the Lions are playing, they're horrible. They stink. They have the 5th worst team, according to DVOA, with the 4th worst offense and the 7th worst defense. They're one of only 4 teams that are bottom 7 in both offense and defense. Their offensive line is terrible. They have no skill positions, and Bryce Young has looked like a rookie. Their defense, pretty banged up, missing a ton of pieces, haven't been able to have success there as well. It's been rough for the Panthers. I expect it to get even rougher. Granted, 10 points is a lot, so you look at the dramatic differences between these 2 teams, and the 10-point spread does take that into account. But the thing I like about the Lions is they're not scared to keep scoring even when they are winning. And if they get a 15-point lead, 17-point lead, the Panthers might not even be able to score to have some sort of backdoor cover. So I do love the Lions a lot in this one as our favorite of the day, as our lock of the day, quote unquote. Next up, the underdog that we are taking is the Texans money line. Texans to win straight up, plus 113 odds. This is also at Sport Trade. And if you don't have, again, if you're not in Colorado or New Jersey, it's plus 110 everywhere else. So the Texans are playing the Falcons. And I made the mistake last week of betting on Desmond Ridder. That is not a mistake that I will make again. Desmond Ridder is terrible, a really, really bad quarterback. He leads the NFL in turnover-worthy plays. He's tied with Mac Jones just in raw numbers. But if you look at percentage of plays that are turnover worthy. He leads the NFL in that because he has pretty significantly fewer passing attempts than Mac Jones. The risk with this one is that the Falcons are just going to run the ball, and the Texans have a really bad run defense, and they're not going to be able to stop them. But everybody knows that's what the Falcons want to do. And with the quarterback as bad as Desmond Ridder, all the Texans need to do is what the Jags did and what the Lions did, and just crowd the box and not let the Falcons beat you on the ground. The Texans defense, led by head coach DeMeco Ryans, smart, well-coached defense. I do think that they're going to have a good game plan for this Falcons offense. They're going to make Desmond Ridder beat them with his arm, which he can't do. Not only is he just not able to get the reads down, but he's completely scattershot as well. If someone's open, he's just going to sky them, right? He's one of those quarterbacks, which he's really inaccurate, but he's inaccurate left, right, up, down, in all the ways, which is really bad. It's not like he can just fix one thing. Just looking at advanced stats, PFF has Desmond Ridder as the worst quarterback in the NFL. DVOA has him as the 5th worst quarterback in the NFL. If you look at success rate, which is by Pro Football Reference, which literally just measures, was this a successful play, yes or no? He's the 5th worst quarterback in the NFL. And the Texans defense isn't terrible, right? Even though the fact that they're banged up, they're 15th in DVOA, completely middle of the pack. Now, if you want to look at the Falcons, their defense is worse. Their defense is 22nd in DVOA, and the Texans offense is on fire. CJ Stroud is playing really, really well, especially the last 2 weeks. DVOA has him as the 4th best quarterback in the entire NFL. And if you think about what he's doing with the lack of offensive linemen and the weapons that he's making look good in Nico Collins and Tank Dell, really impressive performance from CJ Stroud so far. So I like the Texans to win straight up as my underdog of the day. Looking at a player prop, we're actually sticking in the Texans versus Falcons game. We're just talking about CJ Stroud, so let's dive into that one. I purposefully didn't talk about him a ton because I knew I was going to talk about him next. Player prop, CJ Stroud over 246.5 passing yards. This is at -109 odds at Caesars. As I mentioned, CJ Stroud is currently the 4th best quarterback in the NFL when you look at DVOA. Now, other advanced stats that I mentioned before, like PFF and success rate, have him closer to middle of the pack as opposed to top 5. But regardless, what we can all agree on is that CJ Stroud has been significantly better than advertised, especially when you look at the past couple weeks. He had a little bit of a rougher week 1, which was against the Ravens and their aggressive defense, and it was also his first start in the NFL, so you can kind of understand that. And he's been playing behind a makeshift offensive line, and it doesn't matter. He's been playing really well. And one thing that I don't want to do is if you look at raw stats, you're going to say, oh, the Falcons, they don't give up a lot of passing yards. This is a bad play. But if you look at advanced stats, does not show them to be a good passing defense. If you look at DVOA, the 5th worst passing defense in the entire NFL, coupled with the 10th best rushing offense. Meanwhile, if you compare that to the Texans offense and how they play, the Texans can have success throwing the ball, but they cannot have success running the ball. The Texans have the 5th best passing offense in the NFL. They have the 3rd worst rushing offense in the NFL, so it's basically strength versus weakness on both sides. A good rushing defense for the Falcons against the bad rushing offense for the Texans, whereas the Texans have a really good passing offense. Falcons have a bad passing defense. And then unsurprisingly, with all the stats that I've given you, Stroud has played really well recently. He's thrown for a ton of yards in the past 3 games. As I mentioned, he missed this in week 1, but looking at Props.Cash as my source on this one. And if you like Props.Cash, sign up using promo code MODI25. Helps me out, gives you a $5 discount monthly. But looking at CJ Stroud, he missed this in week 1, as I mentioned. Since then, he's thrown for 384, 280, and 306 passing yards. Again, shout out Props.Cash for the data. Props.Cash also projects him to throw for 277 yards in this game, so 28 yards over this total. So I love CJ Stroud, love our player prop in this one. And last up, our game prop of the day, Cowboys versus 49ers. We're taking that game to go over 44.5. That's at -115 odds at Barstool. Now, I get that this one is a little bit scary. It feels gross, but it's a positive expected value play, which is the most important thing. Most books, every other book actually, has this either at 45 or 45.5, including Sharp Books has this at 45.5, so that's good for us. And I get that this one's a little bit scary, mostly because you look at the defenses. The Cowboys have the best defense in the NFL. The 49ers have the 7th best defense in the NFL. But I do think that there are ways where the offenses on both teams can have success. Both defenses are weak against the run. The Cowboys have literally the best passing defense in the NFL, but they're only 12th against the run. And then the one loss that the Cowboys had this year was against the Cardinals, who ran the ball all over the Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys are facing a significantly better offense in the 49ers, second best offense in the NFL, and a really good rushing offense as well with Christian McCaffrey. Meanwhile, on the 49ers side, they have the sixth best passing defense in the NFL, all the way down at 23rd against the run. The Rams had success against them, put up 23 points. The Cardinals had success against them as well. Granted, they only scored at 16 points, but they put up pretty decent yardage. They just got stuffed on fourth down, so the point total wasn't there, but the actual raw production was. And I know that running the ball, you're not going to think of that as, oh, that's going to lead to a ton of points, but all I'm trying to say is I think the offenses are going to be able to have success. It's not going to be as gross as the past two games these two teams have played in the playoffs. I do think both offenses are going to have success. I'm not concerned that the past two times went under because none of those trends really mean anything moving forward. Completely different teams. So love the over in the Cowboys versus 49ers, rounding out our fourth and final pick of the day. To do a quick recap, we have the Lions minus 9.5 as our favorite. We have the Texans money line as our underdog. We have CJ Stroud over 246.5 passing yards as our player prop. And we have Cowboys versus 49ers game total over 44.5 as our game prop. And that's it. 4 plays for you guys to lock in. Hopefully we can have a 4-0 day, get myself back into the winning column. Appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And have a good one.